I'm going to show you a few dipping techniques that you can use during your lash service. I have my adhesive here that I've given a good shake for about 2 minutes because it's been sitting for a few days. As you can see here, I'm using the backing of my iPad to place my glue drop on. Some of you may choose to use a ring, and that's just fine. So as you've shaken your adhesive, make sure that when the adhesive comes out of the nozzle that you don't squeeze the bottle. That's really important. And many of these bottles are so small that it's really hard to do that anyway. The reason why you shouldn't squeeze the bottle is that when you release the pressure, it draws air up into the bottle. And there's moisture in the air, and that will cause your adhesive potentially to start to cure and dry faster. So it really is important that when you tip the bottle, it's a gravity fed bottle, just let it come out onto the ring or backing that you're using, and it will come out on its own. Before recapping, and really you'll just need a small drop. Before you recap, use the backing from the other iPad to wipe the nozzle. If there's any adhesive on the nozzle and you recap it, you could potentially glue your cap on. So always wipe the nozzle anytime you retrieve adhesive. This small drop of glue will last about 30 minutes. Every adhesive is a little bit different, and then of course the space that you're working in, you need to pay attention to the humidity that is in the room, and that will affect your dry time as well. So always make sure you know the desired humidity for optimal adhesion of the adhesive that you're using. When dipping, all you would need to do is, I'm left-handed here, so if you just run your tweezer on the strip just really lightly, you can see the lashes kind of angle out a little bit. It'll make it easier for you to grasp a lash. You'll want to grab the lash somewhere in the top 30% of the lash extension itself. Make sure that the lash is in the formation of the T, the small letter T, like so. And right here, I'm going to dip the lash in the adhesive. If I dip slowly, pick it up slow, I'll have less adhesive on the lash extension. There's enough there for me to get a good bond on the natural lash. I would use this method if I am working on a mannequin because there's less adhesive there, and I'll have a neater, cleaner application. If I pick the lash up quickly out of the adhesive, you can see there's a little bead that forms there. That is a good method to use if you're painting it onto the natural lash, or if you need a little bit longer time to set up the extension. It will, because it's going to take a little bit longer for it to cure. So that's a good method, that quick pickup method. You can see there, you've got a nice bead of adhesive. So both pickup methods are just fine to use. The reason I would choose one over the other is if my humidity is higher in my room. If it's more humid, I would pick it up so I would have more adhesive so it won't dry so quickly, because our adhesive dries with moisture in the air. Okay? If the environment is drier, I don't need as much time. Okay. Make sure that you bring the lash into the center of your adhesive drop. Don't approach from the side, because at the outer edge of the adhesive has already started to potentially cure. So the freshest part of this drop of adhesive is right directly in the center. Okay. As you pick up the lash out of the adhesive, do not swipe. Do not swipe. By doing so, you're actually removing adhesive from the underside of the extension, and you need that adhesive to wrap itself around the lash that you're applying it to. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice by dragging and swiping the lash as you bring it out of the drop of adhesive. So don't do that. That's a habit you don't want to get into. Okay. Always isolate first before you dip into the adhesive. So I'm going to grab a new lash now that I've isolated. I'm going to dip slowly so I get a very small amount of adhesive on the extension, and then I'm going to bring that over to the lash and very gently bring it onto the top of the natural lash, and it will just click into place. Okay. Now I'm not going to apply the lash directly to the neighboring lash. I'm going to give that some time to set up. So I'm going to move to a different section and then the other eye. And continue like so.